Nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake MLB DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above or directly at WiseTake.com. If you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level, we are a premium DFS content provider, as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out. Day Pass is available. That being said, if you're new to this channel, welcome. You've come to the right place for some free fire DFS content. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications bell. Don't miss out on any of the free content we put out. And we put out a lot. Shout out to Pat Bush. Got it started. I didn't even go live yet. And my man's in the chat putting in their work. Says, what's up, CK? How you doing? Last night I entered a $5 single entry in MLB and doubled my money. I played the Giant stack because they were playing Arizona. I'm with it, man. I'm with it. Shout out to Pat Bush. I saw you. I think I saw in the Slack chat. I was a little late, but I think I saw in the Slack chat that you did. You did well in NBA recently, right? I think you had a pretty big day, right? I don't know, like $500 day, something like that. Shout out to Pat, man. He's been tuning in. He's been in the Slack chat. Put in the work, man. That being said, if you hit the like button, share the show, really goes a long way, helps us out, and comment as much as you can, whether it be in the chat or after the fact. Didn't get a chance to answer the comments earlier, but looking to make an effort to do so more. Yeah, so I appreciate you guys, and I want to hear from you guys. I like the feedback at the very least. All right, so we've got a 6-game slate. There are technically 2 slates. They got a couple double headers to deal with in the early slate, or at least one, I think, on DraftKings, but none of that shit on the main slate, I don't believe. Let's go ahead and get into it as we always do. Real quick, though. Got to give a shout out to the New York Knicks. Getting the job done. Losing game 1 was tough. That was brutal. But to come from behind the way they did in game 2 was phenomenal. The Garden was rocking. My brother-in-laws were at the game. Gave them a good experience. So I'm with it, man. Shout out to New York Knicks. What a fucking game. Okay. If you're a Hawks fan, you had game 1. It's all goody. No disrespect. You had game 1. It's all goody. Okay. Now, onto this slate. Sonny Gray's the most expensive pitcher on the slate, which is funny because he's an underdog. Not that that matters. Playing a Nationals team that it's tough to strike out. 22% is not like crazy high. Now, they're not great offensively against righties, but they can be tough on pitchers. Sonny Gray, however, has some of the best numbers on the slate, right? So yeah, I think he makes a lot of sense, and I expect him to be somewhat popular in cash games. 7-7 on FanDuel. He'll be chalk on FanDuel, no doubt. No doubt he'll be chalk on FanDuel. Damn, I didn't even notice that. Dylan Cease, he's been getting it done. Now, full disclosure, this game has some rain in the forecast in Chicago, so we want to keep an eye out on that, which is pretty pivotal because the White Sox offense, which we'll get to, is probably going to be the chalk if the game holds. And Cease is not a terrible option at pitcher on FanDuel at 7,500. I knew he was 75. I did not realize Sonny Gray was 7-7 over there. At 9-2, it's a little bit of a stretch for me. Baltimore is bad against righties. We did see that. We've been seeing that theme throughout, right? 24% K rate, 139 ISO, 286 WOBA, 83 WRC plus. So we know that about Baltimore. Strasburg. So I think Strasburg will be somewhat popular. I think on DraftKings, I think he'll be the chalk. So I think, not saying Sonny Gray won't be popular, but I do think on DraftKings, Strasburg will be more popular than he will be on FanDuel. That's obvious, I know. 2-pitcher side versus 1-pitcher side. Anyway, I think it's interesting, though. He had a pretty decent start his first time back from the IL, whatever. But it was against Baltimore, we just talked about. Really struggles against right-handed pitching. Cincinnati is third in WRC plus against righties with a 188 ISO. You can see that green. one of the top teams in the league against righties in power, 337 WOBA, and a 23.2% K rate. So curious to see if that last start was more Baltimore, or do we see Cincinnati at really low ownership kind of tee off on Mr. Strauss. So I'm interested in leverage stack there. Spoiler alert for my Core Plays article. I think Chris Bassett is in play. Angels are a team I don't love to mess with. You can see they have a 104 WRC plus 175 ISO, but they can strike out 24.6%. Bassett's looked pretty good. His strikeout rate is up. So I think he's at least in play in tournaments. Shohei Ohtani against Oakland. What do we know about Oakland against lefties? They have a lot of power, but they strike out. Look at the strikeout rates have actually come down. But Oakland's been really good against lefties. And I do think on DraftKings, Ohtani does end up with some relatively high ownership. Yeah, 7-7. Yeah, I think so. So that's another one of those interesting spots. Could have put it in the what to watch section, but Ohtani is one of the top pitchers right now. So, I mean, he's at the highest strikeout rate on the slate. So again, it looks like Oakland has come down. Their ISO was always high against lefties, but the strikeout rate was massive. That's come down. So we'll have to see what win's going to have to. If you play MME, which I do, you're probably going to want to play both sides in that one, right? Get a little bit of exposure to both. Last guy I'll mention is Kobe Allard. His numbers look really good. This is a guy that I attacked constantly last year, but so far this season, his numbers have looked decent. He's not going to throw more than he's not going to be treated like a regular starter. He's been coming out of the bullpen. But he's playing Seattle, right? Seattle is currently third worst WRC plus against lefties. 279 ISO with a 28.2% strikeout rate. Allard is 4K. So if you don't love these options that we mentioned, I will admit I think it's somewhat deep for a small slate. But some of the matchups aren't great. I think it's an interesting punt play on DraftKings, but I think he's been throwing 40 to 50 pitches or so in some of his relief appearances. So I think he does go at least 50 to 60 or whatever, but I wouldn't expect a full 5 innings. Full disclosure. But a pretty decent one. Pretty decent slate. Makes you think. Top offenses, I talked about the White Sox. If they are, if the game is on, they're at home in a hitter-friendly park. Zimmerman is a lefty. I know I'm missing this on the profile. I had him in there. He is a lefty, and we know what we do when the White Sox play lefties. We just play him, right? It didn't work out against that Cardinals guy, but we just play him. That's what we do. I guess you could say they're due. So that's an easy one. Then I think the D-backs, I liked a lot of the underdog. I think Cincinnati, if I was going to bet the slate, maybe I will do a little parlay with Cincinnati. What was it? There were some underdogs that I liked. Cincinnati was one of them. Texas, Cincinnati, Arizona. I think that's what it was. Yeah. Anyway, C-Marts look terrible. Strikeout rate is pathetic. Playing Arizona, it's nothing special about Arizona's offense. What we like about Arizona's offense is they like to put the ball in play. So nothing spectacular here. I think C-Mart is terrible. And I don't have it up right now, but according to our bullpen stats over at WiseTake.com, Cardinals still have the highest bullpen xFIP in the league. So you can get to C-Mart, who's been terrible. You get number bullpen ahead of you, which has been terrible. Last offense I said we're missing some information. We don't know who's pitching for the Dodgers. But Cards at Peacock, the other side of this game. Haven't seen much of Peacock. I looked at his minor league numbers, and he was decent. xFIP's always been kind of in the mid-threes, but he's not a strikeout guy. The 16% K rate is probably real. So I'm curious to see what happens with St. Louis. Should be a lot of balls put in play. Arizona's bullpen, not great, at least in terms of the xFIP rankings. So yeah, I think the Cardinals, that game in general kind of seems like stacky. But you could argue the same for Baltimore with Cee's unreliability as far as like game stack status goes, right? Things to watch: Chris Flexen against the Rangers. We know the Rangers, one of the strikeout happy teams in the league, 26.3% to righties. Flexen has not been good, and no strikeouts have not been a part of his game. So either the Rangers are a low-owned offense that has potential, or Chris Flexen is a really cheap pitcher that ends up pitching fairly well, right? Last one I'll put on here, Alex Wood, who's got the best numbers on the slate overall. I mean, Ohtani's got the strikeout rate online, but if you look at the 2.87 xFIP, 3.23 Sierra, playing his former team, the Dodgers. But that's kind of the problem, right? He's playing the Dodgers. He just played the Dodgers, and he did well. And now he's got to play him again. Now the Dodgers have not been very good against lefties. 295 over 90 WRC plus 140 ISO and a 25.2% K rate. So I guess you could argue that Alex Wood should have been talked about in the top pitcher section, and he should have. Except I think in terms of public perception, I think people may be hesitant to click his name because he is playing the Dodgers, one of the best offenses in the league. And we have a couple other options to consider, but I do think Alex Wood. Now, we want to gauge his ownership. It's obviously the night before when we do these first look shows, but ownership's going to have a lot to do with it, with my decision on what to do with him. Dong watch time. I'm going Jose Abreu, assuming that game plays. Now, if I knew the game was going to play, I would just pick 3 White Sox. But because there's weather, I don't want to do you guys dirty, so I'm going Jose Abreu, number 1. Eduardo Escobar, number 2. Right, from the D-backs. And then Nick Castellanos, number 3, low ownership against Steven Strasburg. I think he's 2 for 6 with a dinger off Steven Strasburg. So that will be our Dong Watch today. That's going to do it for me, Nation. I appreciate you guys hanging with me, rolling with me, after the fact or live. Those if we're able to make it live. Last show of the week tomorrow night, so we'll be back at it, or Thursday night, whenever, what have you, covering Friday slate. Good luck. Leave some comments. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit the like button on your way out. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.